Marco, again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity and for bringing the very prestigious NOAA brand into Israel. Thank you. So, again, hi everyone. My name is Ronen Nir. I'm a general partner of Viola Ventures, which is the early stage arm of Viola Group, the largest tech-focused investment group in Israel. And this presentation is part, I think, of a dialogue that we are constantly having with the industry, trying to understand and ask ourselves the tough questions as to where we are, what are the good things that are happening in the industry, and also what are the challenges that are happening in the industry. And I think that in general, as an industry, we should be a little more. There are certain challenges. I think that we are always trying to look through the front window and not through the back mirror, and making sure that the innovation pace can continue. And I think that it is not necessarily going to happen. And I think that we have to work hard in order for this entire magnificent ecosystem to continue to thrive. And I think I would like to kind of walk you, give you a glimpse into our meeting rooms. What are the issues that we are discussing? What are the questions that we are asking ourselves? And definitely would appreciate the feedback later on. So, 10 observations, 1 per minute, and I'll start with the challenges. So, Abe Finkelstein from Vintage, in his opening presentation, showed a lot of statistics as to kind of the trends in the world VC industry, or the world and the Israeli industry as well. There is one data point which I think that people tend to overlook, which we think is very, very important. And that we are seeing that although the money flows into the industry is an all-time high, and tech in general is the best return on investment in any other sector in the world, actually the number of early-stage investments in Israel is declining, as you can see here. And this is very, very consistent to what we are seeing in other places in the world, by the way, apart from Europe, which is kind of still recovering from a decade ago. But in the US, we are seeing the same trend, which for 2 consecutive years, the number of new companies that are being funded is at a decline of about 15% year over year. This is a major issue. How come? Why is it happening? So much money in the market, best ROI ever. What is happening over here? And this is a question that we've been asking ourselves, and I think that the kind of the short answer, just because we don't have a lot of time to expand, is that we believe that we are what we call in-between innovation cycles. Kind of the last decade's main innovation, the cloud, the social networks, the mobile, etc., have reached kind of a maturity stage, while the new things that are coming, the AI, the IoT, the automotive, etc., have not matured yet to the point that every investment is justifiable. So I think that I would like to kind of pose some of the question, but also see where we think are the maybe places in which we are going to see the entire industry going out of this kind of temporary dip back into a thriving industry. I think that one of the main questions that we are asking ourselves is IT solved? And I think that in general, the VC industry worldwide has long lived mainly on IT. It was IT management, it was monitoring, it was DevOps, it was development tools, it was the application that we are running over it. As we are seeing, the cloud, which is kind of taking over everyone, has created basically each time or each year that the large cloud providers are coming with new services that are basically making it easier to develop application, and are taking away some of the need for the consumers or the enterprises to manage their own IT. This is a huge part of the industry, and we are asking ourselves, could it be that this huge part of the industry will actually decline and will fade and go away over the next 5 to 10 years? The next thing is, of course, say, okay, well, there are certain areas that are going down, but there are certainly many areas that are going up. And definitely AI is one of them. But while we see many companies that have the technology, that have the algorithms, that even have the computing power and the infrastructure to do AI, actually the ability to build very significant companies is highly dependent on access of unique data. And most early stage companies that we are seeing, they have the technology, they don't have the data. And by the way, everybody's saying, well, Facebook have the data and Google have the data, and we say it's not so true. They have part of the data, they may have part of the data of our user behavior, they still don't have our healthcare data, they still don't have our, all of our financial information data, et cetera, and we believe that the key ingredient of making an AI company successful is not only the ability to have some great data scientists and machine learning engineers, but is having access to unique data, which is becoming the #1 problem of being able to create those industries. I think that IoT was kind of the biggest buzzword that was here maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But when we are drilling down to what IoT actually means in terms of the individual investment of the individual companies, some major questions are coming. So what am I selling, and what is the business model behind this? Am I selling a low-power device? That's usually tend to be commoditized and has very low margin, and how do I distribute it? Do I do kind of a networking part that kind of the large players are already doing this? So is my innovation in the analytics that I can provide in the cloud from obtaining all the data from the sensors? Could be, but then it's a cloud investment. It's not an IoT investment. So where exactly is the business model on behind all of those elements, and how can the early stage startup community can actually innovate with a solid business model? In our mind, is still a question that we are asking ourselves and having a very, I think, important dialogue with the industry. The open source model that was supposed to take the world by storm and democratize the entire software and make software available for everyone and increase the trust, etc., is doing two things that we did not anticipate. One, it's killing entire industries that used to be billions of dollars, and now it's very hard to innovate of them. And I think everyone understands this. I think this part of the other things is actually open source is being misused by some of the major players, like the cloud providers, who are actually taking the open source that was built by other startups and something else, offering them as services. They are the ones who are monetizing it, and a lot of the startups that have actually building the software and made it available to the community are being kind of hurt by the open source, in which the adoption is done by the large players instead by the individual players and the individual programmers, and that's becoming a major issue, as to the future. But I think again that not everything is dark, and we are seeing, I think, part of bright light. I think that things could happen over the next few years that we are very excited with. First of all, as we said, IT may be going. The entire concept of building horizontal solution on storage applications, etc., is going away. I think that welcome vertical solutions. I think that we are already only starting to do this. And most of the consumer services that we are consuming, the Ubers of the world, etc., they all have very deep technology under that. We are not using this because of the technology. We are using this because they are providing us full service. When I'm paying Uber, I'm buying a cab ride. I'm not buying technology, and I'm not utilizing this technology. I'm buying the entire stack and the services, and this is going to be very huge. Blockchain, not in the context of cryptocurrency, but in the context of IT infrastructure. We believe that presents the right philosophy, meaning distributed architecture that will rethink the trust model, as my predecessors here discussed, and will bring some new IT benefits. But the actual infrastructure there is today, whether it's blockchain or Ethereum or the other infrastructure, are lacking a lot in their infrastructure performance, security, trust capabilities, etc. And therefore, we believe it's the right philosophy, but a lot of innovation still needs to go into turning this into a working model. One of the things that we are hearing a lot, because we like so much to innovate, I think that in general, we have the tendency to kill industries very, very quickly. Big data, this is so 2013. What are you talking about? We are way past these kinds of things. Industries takes a while to mature. And I think that what we're hearing, big data is coming, maybe replaced with AI. We are only at the beginning of trying to understand, making sense of data. We may have solved the problem of how to store it and how to access it. Really how to make insight out of it, and instead of mining data, mining knowledge, we are still at the beginning, and this is probably a decade or two long journey that we'll all have to take, together. One thing that AI did bring to the world, the semiconductor industry worldwide was basically dead. Basically dead. Moore's law has reached an asymptote, no more possibilities to improve computing, etc. But I think we are entering a different age in which the definition of computing is going to change. The autonomous car is going to have anywhere between 4,000 to 6,000 different chips on a single car. These need to be different chips that they will have to do things differently. They will have to have the reliability of an airplane in order for it to be reliable enough to be on the street. So we are seeing a huge surge, which is definitely plays to the strength of Israel, of a new kind of companies that is going to rethink the compute model, and we can go beyond semiconductor, even to quantum computing and other things that are going to change the compute model in general. And I think that, talking about the Alexas, the Google Home of the world, there is something more fundamental here. Most of our interaction with computing was through keyboard and mouse for the past 40 years. We believe that voice and video and in general other means of communicating is going to be very, very significant, to the point that we call it the new operating system. And that is going to completely change the world that we are living. Maybe this is the right way to monetize IoT, we don't know, but definitely there are some interesting things. So to summarize, I think that we are facing, there is a trend and we cannot ignore it. Early stage investments are going down because we believe the world is now trying to figure out how do we take the new technologies that are rising and actually turning them into a real business model with real customers, with real companies to be built behind this. We are obviously still going to see industries take long. We're going to still see the benefit of the previous 20 years coming with us, but we have to face those challenges. On the other hand, we are seeing some great opportunities. We do call upon everyone, the entrepreneurs community, the corporate community, and everyone to work together with us to try and figure out those questions and make sure that we all continue to thrive. Thank you very much.